Hello and welcome everyone to yet another episode of ECellVIT's official podcast, Ruminate. I am Akasha Goyal. I'll be your host for today. At Ruminate, we host some of the most amazing people from the field of entrepreneurship. And for today's episode, we have Mr. Bhaswat Agarwal, founder of ClassPlus, an all-in-one free teaching app for individual teachers. He's also a strong business development professional with a Bachelor's of Engineering from NSIT Delhi. We are very pleased to have him. Welcome, sir. And without any further ado, I would like to get right into the questions. So my first question to you is, before founding ClassPlus, you have had a very successful career at Microsoft. So what changed your mind and what was your motivation behind starting ClassPlus?
Yes, my stint at Microsoft was very enriching for me. Personally, I was managing the education vertical for Microsoft. Was a technology strategist managing their education vertical. And at that point in time, the kind of exposure that I got working with government, working with most of the state governments, the central government, most of the key education universities, the whole landscape was changing. This was 2014, 2015 time when I saw that there's a huge impetus from the government side to completely transform education. Government was developing Swayam portal, they were developing MOOC platforms, they were digitizing most of the entrance exams. And at the policy level, fundamentally, the whole focus on education was completely changing, which is what told me that, 10 years, 20 years down the line, the whole education landscape of the country would look very different. And very rarely you get markets which will get transformed in the future and you get a chance to build something of your own. So that led me to quickly take a decision, and my co-founder Mukul was supportive enough to help me out, and both of us just got started pretty quickly. Once we decided, it just took us about 7 days to basically leave our jobs and start up something of our own.
So there are a lot of e-learning platforms out there that digitize classroom learning. So how do you think your company ClassPlus stands out?
I think we deliver a full stack experience, right from no matter what kind of a teacher you are. If you are a smaller teacher, not a smaller teacher, essentially, if you teach a smaller base of students of 1 to 20 students, we have ClassPlus Lite for you. If you have an institute which you just want to automate, the whole product suite is available and it gives you a full stack experience. If you're a larger institute, or let's say you're an online content creator who wants to monetize their student base or wants to sell courses, we have all those functionalities as well on the platform. So I think the whole full stack approach to the platform, catering to all kinds of educators across the country, all sorts of categories that you can think of, be it a government teacher, be it a K-12 teacher, all of that. So that's one. Be the kind of depth on the product that we've been able to build, be it a government exam teacher, be it an engineering exam teacher, be it a NEET teacher, be it any kind of coaching institutes. I think most of the use cases get covered on the platform, and the nuances which are there for these specific kinds of educators, I think the platform caters to that. So that depth of the product and the ability to serve all kinds of educators has been built over the years. So these are the two large things that help us differentiate. Third, the ability to operate at scale. So for example, if you teach 50,000 students, 1 lakh students, I mean, the app will give you a seamless experience, even if you were teaching 10 students or let's say 100,000 students. So ability to run and build for scale, that's a third differentiator. And I think fourthly, which is very less talked about from a product standpoint, but I think the whole customer experience bit that we do with our customers, and that is the entire part of the product experience that the customers get. The way we listen to feedback, the way we sort out issues, the way we help them grow, that essentially is the biggest differentiator that we have on the product versus any other competitors that you could think of.
Okay, so you have mentioned this before as well, but so what are your thoughts on the Indian education system, and do you think that the recent NEP policies will bring about any significant change in the system with offline learning?
See, the Indian education system has been the pillar or the backbone of the country's progress so far. I mean, the whole GDP growth that we've seen over the past 20, 30, 40 years, and the kind of economic trends that we're seeing is primarily driven by the strong education system that we have. I mean, even if you compare that with a lot of other countries, I mean, the whole focus on education, right from your upbringing to as a child, to the point you go to a college, to the point you even after going to college, the amount of focus on post-graduation, etc. I think that's from a pure economic, not just from an economic landscape, but just from a social and cultural value is a big differentiator that India has overall. When it comes to practicality of education and that getting implemented in sort of upskilling yourself, NEP would be a big boost. The kind of curriculum changes proposed in the NEP, the kind of focus that's been put on vocational courses, computer learning, and English speaking, all of these will be future skills which every student wouldn't require to have. And the whole job landscape of the world is also changing, right? If you look at the kind of jobs that were available 20 years, 30 years back, consider and you look at the entry level jobs that are available right now, or any kind of jobs that are available right now, there's a certain element of technology involved. I think technology is a big part of our lives also. So learning technology at an early age will give you a disproportionate advantage if considering you learn that at a later age. So I think NEP, if implemented properly, once it is on the ground, hitting the ground really well, I think it will be a big revolution in the education landscape of the country. So yeah, full on support with whatever has been promoted in NEP. But again, we'll have to see how it gets implemented. But from a pure policy standpoint, I think it's a big move for the country, and yeah, the whole country should look forward to it.
So while on that question, so do you think there's anything lacking in NEP, or they could have added something else in
I think
policy?
I think see, policy has been framed pretty well. So and there are thought leaders who are much more capable than me to actually think about what the policies are. So the policy, like from the way the policy has been drafted, I think it's been done pretty well. We'll have to see how it gets implemented, and of course, when things go on the practicality, there are a lot of evolving changes that happen. And again, that may happen, that may not happen. Only time will tell. And I think it's a very well thought out and a very well drafted policy.
So your career has clearly shown that you have done a lot of work in the e-learning industry, right? And is there any particular reason you wanted to work in that field?
It just e-learning was not the nobody thinks that what industry specifically that you would want to work in, right? I joined a technology company which is one of the world's largest technology company that happens out there, and I got a chance to work in the education segment. So the kind of role that I got, the exposure that I got was humongous. And that could happen only at a place like a Microsoft, where I got a chance to work with thought leaders, where I got a chance to work with policy leaders, the entire executive branch of the government. So that kind of exposure I got, and luckily for me, see, education anyway for all of us is very close to our hearts, right? Everybody wants to work in education and contribute to the country's education in some way or the other. So that happened. But again, the kind of exposure that I got was so immense and so valuable, and the niche was very well defined. And I think at that point in time, I had very good exposure to all sorts of edtech products that were out there, be it in classroom, post classroom, management related products, all of that. I just in my head thought that I understand education pretty well, and considering the kind of policy changes that were happening at that point in time, I thought that I think I fit in e-learning pretty well. Unfortunately, I realized that teachers understand education far more than I do. So I've never taught professionally. So yeah, I think I could have done better had I been a teacher. But yeah, if you look at the entire edtech platform, I think that's all that I've done in my professional career. So yeah, so I just happened to land into edtech by chance. And because of that exposure, I just continue to build on it. So all my professional life, I've only done edtech products. That's all.
So you did your bachelor's in EC.
Yeah.
And so when did you realize that you are not interested in EC and you wanted to do something else?
It wasn't that I was not interested in EC. I think especially in the core EC subjects, I was doing pretty well. You guys are also in engineering college, right? So you understand the kind of pressures that you have from an academic standpoint. And I was doing decently well. I would not say that I was bad at it or I did not fare well. But yeah, I realized that there are people better than me in core electronics, and I thought that that's something that I'm probably not as good at compared to other people. Whatever stream that you're taking or whatever you want to do, you try to aim to be in the top 1 percentile in the world. Like that should be your aspiration, right? And I realized I cannot be that person, especially in electronics. So I just thought that, maybe use whatever little bit of intelligence I have and do something where I can actually be top 1 percentile in the world. If I aim for top 1 percentile, maybe I'll land somewhere. But that was the whole aim, to sort of use my wits and do something of my career. So yeah, not really that not interested, but wasn't that great at it. So yeah.
So it's one of the personal questions. So you were a part of NSEF at NSIT. So did that chapter play any role in what you are today or what you are aiming for?
Yeah, of course. I think so. See, not specifically NECF, but a lot of these management activities that you do in college do shape your personality quite a lot. For example, like you're organizing this podcast. There's a club that you guys are running, right?
Yeah.
You do not realize it in college, but the amount of tenacity that such activities or such clubs develop in you at such an early age really helps you go a long way. So I would not say specifically NSEF, but the whole idea of organizing something of your own. You do marketing, you do publicity, you do a bit. Large part of it is event organization. You manage your college administration. You manage students. You lead students to organize all of these activities. These are the fundamental traits of running a business, right? There is nothing else that like no other management skills that you need. I mean, you get all of this exposure running all of these clubs and these events. So yeah, that like, and I did a bunch of other activities besides NECF in college. So yeah, all of that taught me quite a bit and definitely shaped my personality to get to the point that I am here today. And trust me, all of you guys who are running this club and organizing such podcasts, I think the kind of exposure that you are getting right now at this age, it will help you tremendously in your life. You will not realize it actively that that this is actively contributing to my resume, or this will make me a good software engineer or a good marketing professional, etc. But this exposure that you're getting and the whole determination and the grit with which you are doing this will teach you quite a bit, and it will help you in your professional life. So yeah, definitely helped me, and I'm pretty sure it will help everybody in this session as well.
So ClassPlus was launched in 2018 and the lockdowns happened shortly after that. So can you tell us how did the lockdown affect the company?
I think it did not happen shortly after that. It happened after 2.5 years after we started ClassPlus. But yeah, lockdown was a big change overall in any kind of business that we're operating at that, like when it had struck, right? All the offline institutes had to go online. We did not have the best product which could have suited that kind of a need at that point in time. But I think one thing that we did was we adapted to the needs very quickly. For example, we did not have a live classes product, and overnight institutes needed a live classes product, and we were operating at scale. We were operating at about 2,000 odd customers who were with us, and we were the largest player out there in the segment. There was no technology innovation or the technology, let's just say, penetration in the coaching segment. So we were the market leaders. We were the guys. We were the people who were thought as thought leaders or the builders for the future, right? And the whole country was counting on ClassPlus to sort of deliver at that point in time. So I think what we did very quickly was build out the product which could suit the needs of the customers at that point in time. Really work closely with the customers. See, such a moment actually creates a lot of panic and fear to the people who are out there on the front lines, be it your own people, be it the customers. So for our customers, it was a big change. Like, it was a nightmarish change for them, because all of a sudden institutes had to shut down and they had to teach online. And a lot of them did not have the right experience of teaching online. But I think teachers did an excellent job of adapting to technology so quickly. A lot of other segments, a lot of other industries could not do it as well as teachers could at that point in time. And yeah, so two things that we did was focus on the product, focus on the customer, and yeah, the rest of the things were taken care of. I think the whole team of ClassPlus at that point in time, at least for like 1.5 months, 2 months, did not sleep. And yeah, we just carried on with whatever resources that we had at that point in time. And thankfully we came out well. We could have done much better maybe, but yeah, we ended up doing pretty well in that time. And all thanks to the team, and all thanks to the customers or our teachers or the teacher fraternity that could adapt to technology so quickly. So yeah, those are the two changes that happened for us.
So the field of edtech is getting very competitive these days, and Why did you step into the particular field, and what difficulties have you faced till now in the in this industry?
Yeah, so edtech wasn't as competitive when we started up. B2B edtech was completely a white space when we started up. So, and we sort of created and built the category out, created the awareness around building, and essentially like having your own coaching app or having your own classroom experience on an online mobile app. When we started up. So this was a white space for us. We created that category for 2.5 years. And I think COVID accelerated that journey for us. Whatever could have happened in, let's say, 5 years happened to us in 2.5 years, or because of that event that happened, which is COVID. When it comes to difficulty, a lot of difficulties we faced, be it educating the customer on the need of having the product, getting your first sales done. Nobody wanted to pay for software for coaching institutes. Coaching institutes did not want to pay for software, so we had to educate them really well. Building the product out with very limited resources was one challenge initially. Then again, and there are challenges every day. See, even I'm sitting here today, there are challenges happening right now as well. So those challenges keep happening, but I think. And there are a bunch of other challenges. See, you recruit people, you raise funds, you generate money from your customers, you basically sell to customers in a profitable manner, and then you build out the product. You keep innovating according to customer needs, you keep innovating according to the market. How are you one step ahead of the market? All of these challenges, for any startup founder, this is not just specifically for me, but any startup founder goes through all of these challenges. So same challenges for me as well. Same challenges tomorrow. If you guys start up, you'd have the same kind of challenges. But the only thing that separates people who succeed and people who do not end up succeeding is how they face those challenges and how they face those obstacles and continue to move on. That's the only differentiator that sails your organization through. So yeah, same challenges.
So who do you think is your biggest competitor right now, and what do you think you have better than them?
I think the whole market that is out there is evolving so quickly right now. I can't really say that there is a competitor out there. I think and largely as a philosophy also, we focus more on the customer. So my larger fear is that what if the market innovation out innovates Classplus, and we fall behind the market and we are not able to serve our customers the way in which they want to get served. That's our biggest fear. Honestly speaking, there are a lot of regional players. There are a lot of other kinds of players who do this. But honestly speaking, competitors is not Classplus's focus, and that should never be any business's focus either. If you focus right on your customers really well, you understand your customer values really well, and you obsess about them, and you are able to serve them in a cost-effective way and generate some money for yourself. Basic rules of running a business. I think it gets taken care of by your own. Yeah. So I think customer innovation and the whole market landscape changing, that's the biggest worry for me, not a competitor. See, competitors will keep coming, competitors will be there, will always evolve. But again, like it's just about the customers and the market that you serve.
So what are your future plans for Classplus? Then
yeah, just scale Classplus the way it is. Any online educator, any educator who wants to start an online business should be on Classplus. Just keep scaling, keep going for growth, and keep your customers happy. Just these are the two things that we want to do. Just build out for them and keep them happy, and have more and more customers. These are the three basic plans that we have.
So okay, so on that question, like, what do you think is the future for edtech industry as well?
Future for edtech, I think there's a lot of innovation that will happen next 5-10 years. You will see a lot of new products. The whole experience of delivering and getting educated will transform. I think a lot of access to cost and barrier will be solved for a lot of people who are not in the edtech landscape today. I think the edtech penetration hasn't reached, from a country standpoint, it hasn't even penetrated the surface as yet. There's a lot more depth out there in the market. And going forward, you'll see a lot more inclusion of all the stakeholders in education, be it students, be it parents, be it teachers, and the penetration will be huge. So from an edtech standpoint, I think it's a very exciting time to be building in India, building for edtech in India. And there's a lot of market depth that is yet to be discovered. So the future will be very exciting as we move forward.
So you have done 2 internships while before joining Microsoft. So how important do you think is an internship for a aspiring entrepreneur?
No, it's absolutely essential. See, if you do not work in a professional environment, you do not know how a professional environment works, and the kind of people who work in a professional environment. See, college, we do not really get a chance to actually work in a professional environment. One of the biggest changes that you go through after college is going to an office and genuinely have cadences and discipline around the kind of work that you do. So that's one point. B, you learn a lot about management. B, you learn a lot about people and how people come together to work together and achieve something. These three things cannot be taught if you do not gain that kind of a professional real world experience out there. And when you go and join a business as an intern, no matter whatever problem you're solving a problem out there which is out there in the real world. So internships do help you. If you get a chance to do an internship uh, in between classes, after classes, be it in vacations, be it in your term breaks, absolutely just go for it. Like even after class, like let's say your class gets over at 5, 6 p.m., like just go and do an internship somewhere. Even if they pay you a little less, ensure that it pays you something, because if you don't get paid, that means your work is not valued. So ensure that you get paid something. That money should not matter, but just the fact that you get paid ensures that your work is taken seriously and you are taken seriously. And for anybody who's out there in the college and wants to have a fulfilling professional career, be it starting up something of their own or be it working somewhere, internships are a must. And in college, do as many internships as possible. I did two. Probably if you get a chance, do 20 of them. But yeah, that's really helpful for you.
So it actually this actually answers the question where I was going to ask, experience is necessary or not. But so in the case of various social media platforms whose founders had no experience at all, and now their companies are actually some of the leading unicorns in the world. So what's your opinion about that?
Well, those guys were one of the smartest people in the world, and not every one of us is as smart as Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg. Those are the only two stories that we hear and glorify, or maybe Steve Jobs. But a lot of them who are successful also went through the grind of doing internships, working for somebody, working with somebody. So there are enough success examples out there as well who did that. For example, Mark Benioff worked with Oracle for such a long time, and then he started Oracle. Even Larry, even like your Oracle founders, etc. So all of those guys, Larry Ellison, the example that I was giving, right? So he also worked somewhere and then he started up something of his own when he realized that his potential is far higher. Steve Jobs also worked with Atari before starting up. Wozniak was working with IBM before starting up. So it's not that that dropping out, etc., is the ultimate motto. Those guys were one of the smartest people. If you think that you are one of those smartest people, just sure, why not? But to be really honest, even if you look at those guys like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, they were all prodigies since their childhood, right? Zuckerberg had sold something to Microsoft when he was in school. He had sold a music app when he was in school. So he was practically a child prodigy. Even if you look at Bill Gates, the kind of stuff that he was doing back in school really differentiated him from a skill perspective from other people who were his peers in college. So yeah, I think if you are that sort of a child prodigy, why not? Sure, go ahead and do it. But if you're not, if you genuinely think that there's a lot more to be learned outside of the classroom, must do your internships, must gain some professional experience. It teaches you a lot outside of college. So yeah, I think it is necessary. But again, like if you're that smart, sure, why not?
So on that question, who is a role model and what about them inspires you?
I think my teachers have now become my role model. And there is like we all obsess about Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates of the world. But I think the customers that we serve to is a very unique set of customers that we have. They are digital entrepreneurs now, so they're full-time entrepreneurs. One single man show who does teaching, who does marketing, who does parent teacher meetings, who does sales, who does your doubt solving, who does everything. So I think that guy, that customer is now my role model, and they've taught us quite a bit as to how do you hustle and build a business profitably. These guys are not funded people. These guys bootstrap and grow their business on their own. So now they are my role models now. So yeah, I would just say that. But if I had to name someone, I think I would say Virat Kohli now. The kind of discipline and the fire that he brings in, the kind of aggression that he brings in, and of course Saurav sir. Saurav sir is Saurav Ganguly is our brand ambassador now, and I think that was the first time we saw that kind of aggression like that he brought into the Indian team. That way, I would call him also one of my role models. So yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, what do you think is the most challenging part about entrepreneurship, and what have you learned throughout this journey?
I think people, product, profits. Those are the three priorities in that order. So people should be your first priority as an entrepreneur. What kind of people you're working in, what kind of people are building for you, what kind of customers that you're working for. So people is your first priority. Like you always take care of them. That's the first point. Then according to the people, you evolve your product. And essentially the product solves for your people, for customers, whatever use cases, whatever problems that you're solving, you solve that using your product. And then comes profits, but it is also important. You do not build a business which is just out there to serve people. You build a business to make a profit for yourself as well. And I'm not saying that non-profit businesses do not exist or should not exist. They do, but for the kind of industry that we are in, profits is also essential. But then it's the last priority compared to people. So ultimately, you have to serve your customers really well, solve problems for them using your product, and then if things are good enough, and if there's value that is getting created, profits will get generated automatically. So that's the order in which things should be done, and that's something that I've learned pretty quickly. The second learning that I would want to share is, there will be obstacles every day. There will be problems every day. I think it's just the people who stick with you and stick through the problem, that will just differentiate you compared to not working out. See, business ideas, all of this can change. Your business model can change. Your product can evolve. You can build something. You can pivot. You can do all of that. But if fundamentally, if you don't have the right team, if you don't have the right set of people working with you, building for the right audience, then whatever you do, it just won't work out. So I think people is the number one priority that I would say, and that is the actual differentiator that you have while you run a company. So be very cognizant of the people that you're working with.
Also, when you decided to leave your job and start a company, what was the reaction of your colleagues, parents, and family? Like, were they supportive?
Parents were supportive. So there wasn't much of an issue. I said that I'm young. I was just 24 at that point in time. I said I'll give myself 5 years. If nothing else works out, I will go back and work again. But at least I'll give myself 5 years to see if things work out for me or not. So from a responsibility standpoint, that wasn't a big challenge for me. Parents were very supportive. My co-founder was very supportive. He quit his job as soon as I told him, you quit your job, I'll tell you the idea later. So he was very supportive. So he did that, and that has continued to exist. Some of my colleagues, some colleagues were encouraging, some colleagues were not. But then again, like, the argument stands. Nobody can challenge the argument that I have age with me and I do not have a lot of monetary liabilities with me. So I did not buy a car, I did not buy a house, I did not have loans to pay. So none of those were challenged. So you could not defeat that argument very easily. So yeah, and once you determine that you want to do something of your own, just at that point in time, like at 24, like you're far more determined than you are at, let's say, 35 or 40. So yeah, that really helped. The age really helped at that point in time, and the fact that I did not have any financial liabilities also helped. And yeah, we chose to start up, and yeah, since then we've not looked back. Touch wood.
So what is success to you, and would you say that you are successful now?
No, we're not even close to successful as yet. I think there's a lot more to be done. It's still day one here at Classplus, and we operate like it's day one here at Classplus. So yeah, totally speaking, we're not successful as yet. To the external world, it may seem that it's a large company. There's so much money that's been pumped into us, but there's a lot more problems that we can solve for our customers, and there's a lot of products that we can build for our customers. So a lot of success is yet to be achieved. I think the only success that we've been able to achieve so far is the limited set of customers that we have on the platform, and the way that we're serving them. I think one success, partial success that we've had is we've been able to build a rockstar team now, and that carries us forward. So that's the part of success that we have. I think largely from a success standpoint, it's not about money, it's not about fame, it's not about getting featured in magazines, etc. I think success is truly unlocking value for somebody and truly solving a problem really well. And the world rewards you for it if you serve a particular problem, and if it's a large enough problem that you solve for a lot of people, the world rewards you really well. And once you solve that, that's when you truly feel that you're successful. Today that we're far away from them. I mean, there's a lot more that we can do for our customers, and a lot more products that we can build. So yeah, there's yet to be achieved, and that's how I define success.
So what advice do you have for our young and aspiring entrepreneurs who look up to you?
Who look up to me? I don't know if there is such a fan base, but glad you called it out. Feel very flattered that you called that there's a fan base out there. The only advice is take bold bets. It's okay. Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things, and just think of one reason why it may work out. There would be 100 reasons why it will not work out. Think of that one reason why it may work out and just go for it. That's the only advice. Be cognizant of the kind of people that you're working with. People, your founders essentially will separate you from success and failure, to be really honest. So yeah, those are the two advices that I would have. Just take that big bold bet, understand what you're trying to solve for, and if the problem is large enough or not. Do not solve a small problem. I would just say, if you're taking that risk, and if you are so young at that age group, aim for the moon at least. Like, do not solve a small problem. I would not discourage you from solving a small problem, but if you solve a larger problem, I think the possibilities are immense. So just go and solve a large problem. Just go for it. Think of one reason why it will work out and why you are the right person to make it work. And thirdly, yeah, the kind of people that you want to work with. That's the freedom that entrepreneurship provides you. So be very cognizant and very clear with the kind of people that you want to work with, and yeah, that will generally separate you from success and failure. So that's the three advices that I would have for any young aspiring entrepreneur.
Thanks a lot, sir. That's a very positive way to look at it. So it was an absolute delight to have you on Ruminate, and we learned a lot about entrepreneurship for sure. And so we wish you all the best for all your future endeavors, and we'll love to host you again.
Thank you so much for having me here. Great speaking with you. Hope I could give you something that you guys can take back from this session. But yeah, thanks for having me over. Real pleasure to have you guys speak with me. And yeah, if any other chance, if I get to interact with you guys, would love to interact again.
Definitely, sir. So our dear viewers, if you like the video, do let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please hit the bell button so that you get notified every time we come up with a new video.